Good morning. Let's do this again. Good morning. My name is Rev Jim Ernston. I am co-minister here along with Rev Lisa Herklotz. Welcome to Unity of Charlotte, and I am so happy that we can actually say good morning these days because we're starting at 11 a.m. We welcome you, whether you're here in the sanctuary, if you're at home on Zoom, or if you're watching this. We've got a couple of people at home on Zoom, so I want to shout out to our Zoom folks, as well as those who are watching this service on YouTube at a later date, a later time. Who knows? At 3 a.m. in the morning when you can't fall asleep. So welcome. Let's go ahead and read our mission statement together. Unity of Charlotte is the place where we nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. If you are here in the sanctuary, or really if you're on Zoom as well for the first time, simply raise your hand. We'd like to acknowledge that you're here for the first time, and we'll just give you a little welcome. Good. We've all been here once before. Welcome back, let's say. Welcome back. So, we do have different ways to keep track of all the things that are going on within Unity of Charlotte. We have our website. That is unityofcharlotte.org. You can always check that out for things coming up. We have a calendar on that. It should give you an idea of everything that's going on. We have our newsletter that's sent out every day on Friday. Our Facebook page, check that out. Friend us on Facebook and forward those things so that your friends can see what's going on at Unity of Charlotte. And our YouTube channel, you can go on YouTube and search for Unity of Charlotte, and you can see all of our past services there as well. Check out our bulletin board as it starts to fill back in. We put that up last week, and you can check that out as well. Let's move into prayer. As we take that breath, as we close our eyes, if that feels comfortable, we move from our head down into our heart. We allow ourselves to feel, to know, to experience. We are so grateful. In this prayer, we affirm our oneness with divine source, together with the universe, God, with each other. We know that to be true. That realization is that we are not only with each other, but that we are never alone. If ever we feel that, we come back to the point where we know that we are one with the allness that is good. We also honor this day. This weekend, we honor Labor Day. All those that have come together in a collaborative spirit, we are grateful for that as well. Thankful for each other. We're thankful for the space that we have to come together. And with that, we simply say, Amen. Please say, or please speak our unity our unity prayer of oneness together. So out loud, there is one presence and one power in my life and universe. God, the good, omnipotence. And we claim and affirm this presence in our lives as love. So at this time, we ask that you speak out loud anyone that you would like to hold in prayer. It may be a circumstance, it may be a loved one, it may be friends, whoever. And please speak those names or situations now. just mentioned those situations that we just spoken out loud. We see those, we know that those are moving forward in their best outcome. We also have a prayer team that comes together at Unity of Charlotte. You can find the link on our website, on the newsletter as well, to send in a prayer request. Also, we have a prayer request box that you can actually physically fill out that form, go old school on us, and fill it out and put it in the box. That ends up being prayed over for 2 weeks here locally. We send that, we forward that on to Unity Worldwide Ministries. You can pray over that through Silent Ministry, through Silent Unity for the 30 days. If you are in need of a prayer through Silent Unity, there is a number you can call and speak to somebody at the village. It is 816-969-2000. And I'd like to welcome up both Chris and Shirley, who will be reading the daily foreword this morning.
La unidad enriquece mi alma. La vida verdadera nos lleva a enfrentar momentos de soledad. A medida que disfrutamos de más comodidades, parece que tenemos menos tiempo. Sin embargo, es esencial dedicar esfuerzo y tiempo a las relaciones. Estar juntos va más allá de simplemente pasar momentos agradables. Es una oportunidad para recordar que la vida es más que trabajo y ajetreo, y que formamos parte de algo más grande que nosotros mismos. El tiempo que comparto con los demás me enriquece y bendice. Abrirme a nuevas perspectivas, comparto de mí mismo y mantengo una actitud receptiva de cómo vivir la vida. Estar unidos como parte de la familia humana es un bálsamo para el alma, permitiendo sentir la presencia divina y celebrando la oportunidad de estar juntos. Formamos un solo cuerpo en Cristo y cada miembro está unido a los demás. Romanos 12:5.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Daily word, togetherness. I think togetherness enriches my soul. So much of modern life involves time of alone and solitary effort. The more conveniences I acquire, the less time I seem to have. When I find myself spending too much time alone, it's good for me to invest time and effort in my relationships. Togetherness is the way to remember that life is about more than work and busyness. And I'm a part of something greater than myself. Busyness, and I am part of something greater than myself. Time spent with others blesses and enriches me. It calls me to share myself and remain open to others' journeys and ways of looking at life I may have to consider. Togetherness is the balm for the soul, a way to feel presence of God reflects in those with whom I share this wonderful planet. I am part of the wondrous human family. I celebrate our togetherness. So we, who are many, are one body in Christ, and individually we are members one of another. Romans 12:5.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am the place where God shows up. We're going to be talking about that today. But first I'm going to start off with this idea about a real ID. You know about the real ID? If you haven't, you will. Because everyone's required. It used to be just a driver's license. Now when you go over a driver's license, you come back with a real ID. Doesn't that sound important? Well, and it will be pretty soon because it's going to get you on planes and through doors. So I'd love to share the adventure and journey that Reverend Jim and I went on when we first moved to Charlotte to get our driver's license updated, because it took months. And I guess it's because everyone's going to get their real ID. But identity is a really important thing to look at, how we identify ourselves. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to start with this question to you. Who do you say you are? If someone were to ask that question, if you were going to write it down on a piece of paper, who do you say you are?
A child of God.
Okay, well, you jumped way ahead on my talk. But that's a very good answer. Thank you for that. Well, that's like I got primed with the song. I want to step you back a moment, though, because when we're out in the world and we're telling somebody who we are, what kinds of things do we usually reference?
Our jobs.
Jobs, our career, our name. Could we start with a name?
Name,
Family. How we're related to people, about relationships, our physical characteristics, where we work, what kind of hobbies we do, what are our credentials or degrees, our certifications. These are all things we generally will say who we are. And if you think about it, they're all external to us, aren't they? They're all the things that we are in this world. They're all expressions of us from a worldly perspective. But the other thing you might note about them is they're also all temporary and all subject to be changed. I might be a student in school for a little while, but then I'm not. Now I'm going to have a job and a career. I might not have that forever. That will change. So we ask the question then a little deeper. Who are we? Now, I want to share a slide with you. This is Rumi, who I'm sure most of you are fairly familiar with. And he has quoted, "Who am I standing in the midst of this thought traffic?" I love this quote. I go back to it often because I love the verbiage of thought traffic, right? If you sit and just think and watch your thoughts going through your head, the conversations, the ideas, the futurizing and the ruminating on the past and trying to figure things out, it's like thought traffic going on. But who is the I that's watching that thought traffic, that's aware of those thoughts? That's what we want to talk about today. So I'm going to share a story from Imelda Shanklin. Imelda Shanklin was a Unity ordained minister, and she was one of 4 on the staff in its early days, the Unity School of Christianity, along with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who were the co-founders of Unity. She also authored many articles in Unity publications at the time, so she was very well known for her writings. And she shares this story. "I met an intelligent, appearing, upstanding young man, and I asked him, 'What are you?' And he looks puzzled. I repeat the question. Then he smiles pleasantly, thinking that I have not correctly worded the query. He informs me, 'Well, I am Johnny Doe.' And to himself he adds, 22 years of age, popular, a law student, and a man you will hear from later." Now the answer that Johnny Doe gives me, the elaborations he makes to himself, do not respond to the question that I asked. He has not understood the question, and he has translated it from impersonal to personal. His answer corresponds to his lack of understanding, because he has answered the question, "Who are you?" have been considering yourself holy as a personal identity, you will also answer the question incorrectly when it is asked. The error in your mind, which causes you to assume the who when you should recognize the what, is the source of every misunderstanding in life that perplexes you. That's a big statement she just made. She's saying every time we come from a who perspective, who am I, and have not recognized what am I first, that's the root cause of every misunderstanding, and by virtue of misunderstanding, suffering we experience in the world. So what is that what? That's what I want to know. Well, if I can heal all that with my what, then let's go there. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We have a divine identity. That's our what. We have a who identity. That's our human personality and nature and how we express in this world. And we are meant to live fully from both. Fully from both. But often we misunderstand how to do that. So let's begin with divine identity. The divine identity is our what. When asked, what am I? Thank you, yes. That's a very different place to start, isn't it, in your consciousness. In unity, we understand God as omnipresence. And I was thinking about this. And I thought, what if you turn that sentence around and you said, we call omnipresence God. We call omnipresence God. That's the name we've given to this elusive thing that we can't really define here, but we know it is everywhere present. That's what we call God. And because that is everywhere present, then there is nowhere that this divine essence is missing or not. Now, if we go to our unity's first principle, and I'm going to word it a little differently than you might have heard it, is that God is the single creative power and source of all. God is the single creator, power, and creator of everything that is. The second one follows then that we are created from and in the likeness of this creative power and source. I am created in the likeness of this creative power and source. Therefore, I am also a creator, imbued with the same attributes as this God mind, this spirit, this creative essence. So I am also a creator. And that's where my human personality comes in. It means we are in God, of God, and expressing God. When? All the time. Because it's never absent, is it? This essence, this creative power, this presence is never absent, and therefore we're always expressing that. And it's important, I think, to know this is that the attributes of God are our own, and this is our unchanging what. Everything else, every other way we define ourselves is temporal. It's changing. It has an end. It will morph into something else. But the thing that is not changing within us is our essence, our divine identity. Now, I want to note something. We did not create ourselves. And the reason I note this is because this is actually an error that we made. And this is the error Imelda was pointing out. It's another way of saying it. We did not create ourselves. We are created from this life source we call God. We have the attributes of this life source. We have no say in that. That is our reality, unchanging, eternal, and divine. However, we are also creators, and we co-create with this power, with this source of life. We now are imbued and empowered to create and manifest a life in alignment with who and what we are. Well, actually, let me reword that. I said that incorrectly. We are able to manifest a who in this world from what we are in our reality. This is called co-creation, and we talk about this a lot in Unity because we talk about being co-creators with God. Because the error we make, that Imelda was pointing to, is we forget sometimes the God part. And we're just living out here in our who. Who am I? And what do I need to do to make this who feel safe? And what do I need to do to make this who feel that it has everything that it needs? And how do I make this who known so that people can see me and hear me and know who I am? Everything gets wrapped around the who when we forget what we are. We make the who and the what the same thing. But that's the changing, that is the ever-changing part of us. It's the one thing we're absolutely certain of, is that part of us is in a continual movement of growth and transformation, because that's what life is. And that who is an expression of that life. So, this is why identity is so important. To go back and remember our what. You know, in the Bible, Jesus is talking to his disciples at one very crucial point in their development and in his mission. And he asked them, first he asked them, who do they say I am? Asking about the people outside of the disciple circle. They get a lot of answers. And then he asked his disciples, who do you say I am? And most of them come from what perspective do you think? The who. Well, you're a rabbi. You're a reincarnation of Isaiah, thank you. You're a teacher, you're a healer, these are who you are until Simon Peter says what? Remember? He says, you are the Christ. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, so I don't have my Bible with me, but Jesus says this, and Simon Peter says this when his name turns from Simon to Peter, because he now recognizes who is standing in front of him. But more than that, Jesus comes to him and he says, you do not know this by man's way. You know this through the Spirit in you that can see me. So Jesus is not the only Christ. He is the embodiment of Christ in an expression to bring us to remember our own Christ nature. And he's calling that forth in Simon Peter, who then becomes what? The rock of the very foundation of the church. Who do you say you are? I am a holy expression of God, Spirit. I am whole, eternal, and divine. From A Course in Miracles, I used to have this memorized because we used to say it over and over again. I did A Course in Miracles for many years. I am God's child, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. In me is God's creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In me is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. That is a declaration of what I am. Now, let's talk about the who a little bit more, because this does not deny the existence of a who. Your identity as a who is going to be there because you find yourself in this world, physical world, having an experience as an individual human. And what is that? That is everything we say we are in our human expression, our human identity. Everything we say we are in human expression is our who. We talked about it already. It's our how we identify in gender, family, ancestry, location, social position, any way, anything we use from a worldly perspective to kind of say, oh, this is who I am here. Here. But human identity is not separate from divine identity, because where is God? Where is Spirit? Where is presence? Everywhere, including within. So our human identity can't be separate from that. There's nothing separate from that. Only in our consciousness and our minds do we separate them out. And we say, oh, well, in this moment I'm divine, and in this moment I'm human. Our human identity is an extension of or an expression of our divine identity in the world. Who we define ourselves here in the world becomes an expression of what we know we are in our divinity. So, divine identity is unmanifest. That's the world of spirit. It's invisible to us. But we are a part of that. It is a part of it is actually what we are in our fullness. Not just a part of us. We are fully spiritual beings. Then we bring these divine ideas out of the infinite field of possibility. And we bring it through our Christ consciousness into our human expression, and we, through our words, our prayers, our actions, we manifest these ideas in our life. And that is meant to be a beautiful experience of your divine in the world. How does that look, do you think? When we are connected to our what? Our divine essence. And that is coming fully through us into our human expression. What ways might that look? I might still be a baker baking bread that gets up and bakes bread every morning. I may still be going to my corporate job and sitting behind a desk and doing whatever I have been assigned to do for that. I may be a teacher that goes out and teaches any form of subject. I might be a minister standing up in front of you trying to express these ideas. But when that divinity is coming through in our humanness, the result, the outcome, the experience will be love, connection, expansion, growth, life. It will be an outer expression of our inner eternal nature. And when we shut off that what, and we live strictly from our who, is the source of every discomfort, misunderstanding, conflict, and suffering. So what's the answer? Patty's got the answer first. You have 5 seconds before the bell goes off.
Stay with the focus.
We stay connected to our source. Prayer, meditation, mindfulness practices, whatever, there's so many different ways to do this. Studying unity principle. Studying unity principle is filling your mind with the ideas of truth that will eventually begin to open up that channel once again to the consciousness of spirit flowing through. Because it's ever available. Maybe you should get the volume. Just turn the volume down. Anyway, we're meant to live fully for both. And that's where we're headed to. We have our what, we have our who. Our what is our divine eternal nature. Our who is how we express ourselves in the world. When our who is in surrender to and open to the flow of our divine nature, then what comes through our human expression is beauty, joy, light, and love. And when we have forgotten, and we can tell when we've forgotten because you feel it, you always feel it, you can hear it in your thoughts, thought traffic, then we just pause. It could be as simple as pausing and going, yes, but what am I? In the middle of a situation that might be causing some conflict, in the middle of somebody saying something to you that may be very unloving, unkind, we can pause. And this is my practice. And I do prayer and meditation. You cannot replace the practice of prayer and meditation because that's like going to the gym and strengthening your muscles, right? But it's each and every moment that we come back to the awareness. And in that moment that I feel like I lost my peace, the first thing I want to do is pause and simply ask myself, wait a minute, what am I? I am a divine, holy expression of spirit in this human form. And now, my whole consciousness has shifted. And I can be present to whatever is being presented to me as the light of the world, which is what we are asked to be. It's what we are meant to be, I believe. That is an alignment with our spirit. So what does it mean to live fully human and fully divine? Imelda Shanklin, going back to her beautiful writing, she says, your intention translates the unseen into the seen, and it makes the what of life become the who of life. It makes the divinity of our what become the who we are expressing. And that's the invitation. That is the invitation today. As you go out and into your week this week, I want you to think, as you're engaging at work or in your relationships, or you're sitting by yourself, having a moment of quiet, dealing with whatever challenges are presenting themselves to you. And just let all that thought traffic quiet down enough to say, what am I? And spend time exploring from the truth principles we teach in unity, which is you are a divine and holy extension of God. I am a divine and holy extension of God. So let's do that right now. Let's practice it. I invite you to shift in your seat a little bit until you feel comfortable and supported. If it's comfortable for you, gently close your eyes, let your hands rest on your lap, and quietly bring your focus and attention to within. And just notice what state your mind is in. If you hear thoughts going back and forth, flying around, or you feel a certain pattern of thought that just keeps going back and forth, just think about that as thought traffic. And try to bring attention to the I that is noticing the thoughts. Become the I that is observing the thoughts. And if it helps, take a gentle breath in, exhale out. And relax into that place of I, with no other identity but to observe. And when you feel ready, let your attention drop into your heart center. And ask yourself the question, what am I? I have a couple of affirmations I will offer you, but I also encourage you, if they don't resonate with you, find the I am statement that does. I am a child of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good. I am a child of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good. I am God's living enterprise. I am God's living enterprise. Let these thoughts resonate within your heart and your mind until they fill your whole being with that vibration. I am God's love expressing. I am the life of spirit flowing. I am. Gently bring your focus back to your breath, breathing in quietly and slowly. Breathing out gently, feeling yourself becoming centered once again in your body, in this sanctuary, in the togetherness of this fellowship of loving light beings, gathered to remember the truth, to affirm and claim the truth, and to bring it alive in our human expression in this world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Rev Lisa. We now move into that part of our service. For we know that as we give, so do we receive. And it is through your generous gifts to Unity of Charlotte that we continue to be a light to this community and the world. So please join me in our offertory blessing. This is where we imagine the gift that we are giving. If we do it online, it is the actual gift that we hold in our hands as we bless it. So, together, joyously I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, our God. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. We are light, love, power, and presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is around.